Step 7. Assess, adjust, and continue. We've arrived at a very important part of the DIY tapping system. Many people overlook this and they end up missing out on important shifts, clues, and insights. If any insights or connections or ideas popped up as you tapped, record them now on your DIY tapping worksheet. These may give you ideas about what else to work on or simply remind you of new perspectives on the presenting or related issues. When you work with this method, you'll quickly find that new insights about your issue or the sub-issues tend to pop up as you're tapping. Remember to note any of these insights or further parts to the issue in the notes section of the worksheet. You can go back and work on these after. Or if the insight is so big that you can see that that's the real underlying issue, and that happens too when you do the work, then you could just begin a new worksheet using this as your step 1. It's a very dynamic process, but it's easy to follow once you start using it. So you need to assess and re-rate your intensity. So read the setup statement that you just worked with and re-rate the intensity of it now, making sure to tune into that specific issue. It's possible that the issue has shifted, in which case you can make a note of the new issue to work with soon. For now, however, see how you feel about that particular setup statement and rate it. Write down your new number in the after box next to the statement. A note about shifting issues. Some people find as they begin tapping, they start to move from one issue to another and they get a little bit lost in the process. This is quite normal, and it's why using the DIY tapping system helps you get better results. It's a method to help you stay focused and on track since you're writing and tracking your issues and progress. As such, it's actually quite important to stay with the issue that you wrote down. As new information or issues emerge, or if your mind starts to travel to other places, stop tapping for a moment and jot those things down. You can address them afterward. Many people find that tapping doesn't work because they jump around too much without completing the clearing for an issue, piece by piece. So now take a look at the number you've written down and take one of the appropriate actions noted. If your issue intensity is 2 or less, continue right on to step 8 now. If your intensity is 3 or more, then if it's 3 or above, you've still got some work to do on this issue, and that's fine. You can keep tapping on it. So in this case, reread your setup statement aloud and check in with what you wrote in box 2, where in the body, and box 3, your emotions, and see if any of that information has changed. If it's all exactly the same as when you did it the first time, then you just repeat the tapping rounds that you just did with the same exact setup statement and reminder phrases. The idea is to continue sticking with the same thing in order to lower the intensity. Now, if it's changed, that's a little different. If you checked in and you notice that there have been changes in either where you notice it in your body, maybe it's moved, or how you feel about it. Maybe instead of being angry about it, now you feel sad. You can create a new setup statement based on this slightly changed information. There's some space to do this on the worksheet if needed. There's space for this to happen with one change. You can also just cross out the old cleared items in the boxes if you want to keep track of the changes. So you might also want to construct new reminder phrases based on the new emotions and the place in your body so that it matches the setup statement. And then you start tapping again. So you continue to tap again with the original or the revised tapping statement by simply doing more rounds on it, more rounds of tapping through all the points. After a few rounds, and the amount is totally up to you, feel free to do extra rounds, especially if you notice the intensity coming down. After you do that, again, look at the setup statement and notice if the intensity has changed and check to see if the body location or the emotions about it, box 2 and 3, if they've changed at all. If it keeps coming down, continue on until you get to a 2 or below of intensity and then move on to step 8. If you try this a few times and the statement doesn't change, then again, continue on to step 8.